What is up, guys? Hey, Productions here. Today we're doing a wide receiver tier list. A while back I did a wide receiver room tier list, but I feel like it's just better to do an actual wide receiver by wide receiver ranking, in my opinion. So yeah, let's get started. The first wide receiver we're going to be doing is AJ Brown. And in my opinion, he is top five wide receivers in the NFL. He finished fifth last year in receiving yards, so that automatically puts him in top five, in my opinion. And again, you could say not necessarily attitude problems, but there was problems with the Eagles last year. Him, Jalen Hurts, him, Nick Sirianni, whatever it might be. Either way, you can't deny his talent. He's easily one of the best wide receivers in the NFL. I have Amari Cooper. In my opinion, he's always been like a great wide receiver. Last year he finished 10th in receiving yards, with 1,250. And really overall, again, just a solid wide receiver. The guy to put up again consistent like 1,000 yard seasons. He's almost like Mike Evans, just like a little bit lower, I would say, in terms of just like skill. But either way, Amari Cooper is just a great wide receiver. I have Amon-Ra St. Brown, and he's literally like the top three wide receivers in the NFL right now. Him, Justin Jefferson, and Tyreek Hill is honestly, and if you put those three guys together on like a team, you could have Tyreek Hill as a wide receiver two, Justin Jefferson as a wide receiver one, and then Amon-Ra St. Brown in the slot. That would be the most dangerous team probably of all time. He's that good. He's got an amazing work ethic. He's really just an absolute demon on the field. So yeah, he's got to go in great. They're the best, I should say. Now you have Brandon Cooks, and he is all right. Last year he didn't do that well. All right, in my opinion, is like a good wide receiver three, wide receiver two, nothing crazy. Mainly, like I would say, like a good wide receiver three, and that's really what he is. He isn't anything crazy. Overall, on most teams, he would be a decent wide receiver two, but a great wide receiver three. So yeah, he's all right. Now I have Brandon Ayuk, and I want to put him on the best, but I just don't think he's there yet. He finished top 10 in yards. I just don't think he's as good as St. Brown or AJ Brown yet. So yeah, he's just gonna be in great, but I can honestly see him taking that leap next year. Now you have Calvin Ridley, and he is gonna go and honestly in between Cooper and Brandon Cooks. That's really what I think Calvin Ridley's. Yeah, I think he's just really good. But he's not as good as Amari Cooper or Brandon Ayuk, so he's just gonna have to go in good. Again, I think he's a great player in my opinion, but in terms of like wide receivers, he's just like a good wide receiver. Again, I think he's really good. Just I wouldn't say he's amazing yet. Could he take that leap? Maybe, but last year, how he ended the season with like that drop, I'm pretty sure against the Titans, not great. But now he's on the Titans, so good for him. Now we got CeeDee Lamb, and overall, I would say he's like top two, top five actually. Top two is top two in receiving yards. I meant to say he's like top five, top seven right now. You'd be like honestly a weapon on every single team. That's how good he is. He just pretty much fits with every team. So yeah, he's immediately in the best. Now you have Chris Godwin. In my opinion, he's on the same level as Calvin Ridley. He'll be like a good wide receiver too, like a great wide receiver too, but he isn't necessarily an amazing number one wide receiver material. That's what I think the good tier is. Like, you're gonna be a good wide receiver too, but not an amazing wide receiver one. And that's what I think Chris Godwin is. Obviously, he's had the say pretty much wide receiver two next to Mike Evans, which is completely fine because Mike Evans is literally a Hall of Famer. So yeah, Chris Godwin, I would say he's pretty good. I have Chris Olave. For now, I'm gonna put him in good. He could take that leap up to, in my opinion, to a great and to the best. I just think he needs a better quarterback, and I don't think Derek Carr's the answer for him. But what he's shown so far, in my opinion, he's already like a great wide receiver. He's like a good wide receiver one, but even honestly, in most teams, he would be an amazing wide receiver two. I think he's like a T Higgins type guy, but I think T Higgins is a little bit better. Now I have Christian Kirk, and I would say he's also pretty good. Again, he's like a decent first target, but he's probably the best as a wide receiver two on most teams. Like AJ Brown could be the wide receiver one on the Eagles, and Christian Kirk could be a wide receiver two, and that would be amazing. So yeah, Christian Kirk, I think he would have to be the wide receiver one for them next year. Still, overall, he's a good player. Now I have Christian Watson, and honestly, he is not that good. I don't even know why he's on this list. Actually, I'll put him in all right because yeah, he can probably be like a decent third option, but nothing too crazy. I have Cooper Cup now, and I want to put him in the best, but he just didn't have that good of a season last year. Again, injuries are probably starting to catch up to him. He's getting up there a little bit older, I guess. Obviously that 2021 season, the one where they won the Super Bowl, was absolutely incredible. But again, taking a little bit of a fall off, I would say. Again, he's not horrible, but I think he's just a great wide receiver. For what it is, and I think again he's on the down climb, but he still isn't bad. I have Cortland Sutton, and I think he's so underrated. I want to put him in great, but he's good. He's like an amazing wide receiver too. but I think he'll probably have to be wide receiver one in the what's it? Where does he play? The Broncos. Yeah, Broncos for next year. Again, not like what he has potential to be great. I wouldn't say he's potentially the best, but for now, I would say he's great. I have Curtis Samuel on the Bills now, so I'm not going to be too biased about him though, even if he's on the Bills. I would say he's a good third target. Curtis Samuel's always just like a decent target. With the Panthers, I thought he was always underrated. With the Commanders, I thought he was always a little bit underrated too. And overall, he's good. He's a good third target. A decent wide receiver two. But he's probably more meant to be like that wide receiver two, wide receiver three, even like a running back hybrid. I would say. I mean, I have Devontae Adams, and honestly, I want to put him the best, but ever since he's joined the Raiders, I feel like that was just a bad decision. Like, yeah, he's been decent, but he isn't anything crazy. Like, he was top three a few years ago, and I feel like he could have stayed with Aaron Rodgers somehow. I understand the story of him going back with Derek Carr was cool, yeah, but his career has kind of taken, and his production, honestly, he's kind of taken a dive since then. But now I have DeAndre, and honestly, I want to put him in. I wouldn't say he's great anymore, but he's good. Like, he isn't horrible. Um, but he isn't as good as he used to be, obviously. But he's a good like wide receiver too on a team. Like he's a good veteran. He's a good leader in my opinion. For like maybe like a young wide receiver like him and possibly like I would say Xavier Worthy would honestly go well because it's like you got the the tall guy and then you got like the kind of smaller fast guy. So I think him and Worthy would be a great combination. I'm not saying the Chiefs would trade for DeAndre Hopkins. I'm just saying that'd be a dangerous duo. But yeah, he's a good wide receiver two at this point in his career right now. We have Debo, and I'm gonna say he's also good. He's a good wide receiver too. He's like a top two wide receiver too. I would say my top three with Waddle and Higgins. But Brandon Ayuk has solidified himself that pretty much he's better than Debo, which is fine because Debo's still really good. And I have Devontae Smith, and I want to put him in great, but I'm gonna put him in good because he's also like one of the best wide receiver twos. Do I think he would be an amazing wide receiver one? No, I don't think he would be that good as a wide receiver one. But as a wide receiver two next to AJ Brown, it's like one of the best, combinations or duos you could say in the league. We have Deontay Johnson. He's all right. Like he's a decent wide receiver three, I guess, but he's not gonna be the wide receiver two on your team most of the time, and definitely not the first option. Not DJ Moore, and in my opinion, DJ Moore's always just been like that good wide receiver two, I would say a decent wide receiver one option. I wouldn't say he's great, but again, he's still a just a good wide receiver. His stats last year were really good. I think for now I'm gonna put him in good because I don't want to overrate him that much, but easily by the end of the year, he could be in the best tier because he's got the potential. Again, 1,300 yards, that was six, and I might be underrating him a little bit, but I'm gonna say he's as good as Debo and all of these guys right here. I'd probably say he's like the second best out of them. I'd probably take Debo over DJ Moore. Now I have DK. I love DK Metcalf. He's going in great. Like the dude's an absolute freak of nature. Like it's insane. Numbers last year weren't top 17. I would say I'm looking at it right now. He was 18th in receiving yards. Still an amazing player in my opinion. And yeah, overall I would say he's like top 10, top 7 right now. Again, people might not agree with me, but pair him up with Josh Allen. I was honestly hoping that he would come to the Bills. Pair him up with Josh Allen. Pair him up with Patrick Mahomes. Pair him up with like an amazing quarterback like that, and see what he can do. Instead of Geno or Prime Russ was pretty good, but in my opinion, him with Josh Allen could throw the ball for like an 80 yards. So yeah, he is a great wide receiver. Now you have Dontavian Wicks, and I want to put him in good. I think he's underrated. The entire Packers team is just full of underrated guys, and again, not the flashiest names. Like again, you show me Dontavian Wicks last year, I'd be like, who's this guy? But now, like, he's got skills. In my opinion, he can get up there with Jordan Love. Like he can be, top 10 receiving, get that, get up to the great tier, I would say. Probably up to the best even, like especially with numbers wise. I think him and Jordan Love will be a good duo. I think he's better than Christian Watson too. So yeah, Dontavian Wicks, I think he's already, like a great wide receiver too, a great wide receiver three. I don't know about the number one option though. I still think they could. I guess they could use someone else maybe, but still, I don't know. Again, he's still just a good wide receiver for what it is now. Now you have Drake London, and I'm gonna also put him in good. I know, like him and Dontavian Wicks, like it's kind of weird seeing both of them together, but I don't think Drake London has had that many good numbers. I'm gonna look at it right now. Where is Drake London even on this list? Again, he's played with bad quarterbacks. I'll give him that. Like he's not played with good quarterbacks at all, in my opinion. Like, well, he played for like what Matt Ryan for like one season. Other than that, it's just been kind of tough for him because yeah, he had 905 yards last season. He is a good wide receiver one in my opinion. Like he could easily be good wide receiver one, like a great wide receiver one. But He just hasn't had the production yet. Again, it's not his fault, but it's just the way it is. He hasn't had the production yet. He's below the guys like Jordan Addison, Rasheed Rice. He has lower numbers than T.J. Hawkinson. So yeah, not great, but either way, again, he can take that leap. I have Garrett Wilson, and overall, I would say Garrett Wilson is, I'd say he's pretty good. Like what I say, he's um, better than any of those guys in the great tier right now. No, but he has the potential. Again, I've seen him face the Bills, especially in that week one, that catch he made. Like Garrett Wilson has a talent to be like a top five guy. Again, it just all depends on, the quarterback play. Like if Aaron Rodgers plays all 17 games or whatever, or even Aaron Rodgers plays great in like maybe 16 games, if they're that good, he can just take a bye week. But still, if Aaron Rodgers is, Aaron Rodgers, Garrett Wilson will have top five numbers in my opinion. But yeah, Garrett Wilson, in my opinion, is already great. Well, again, he can be in that, tier up here if he can get, a good quarterback, which he does have. So it just depends if everyone can stay healthy. They have George Pickens. Don't he's good, but I don't think he's like that great as everyone, says he is. Like, yeah, I mean, could he be amazing? Of course, but I feel like he's got a lot of like Stefan Diggs traits, honestly. You could say attitude problems, but also like saying not trying on some plays, not blocking especially. And I feel like he's really like a Gabe Davis type guy. I think he's just a more talented Gabe Davis because a lot of games he'll just not do that much. But then some games get like 200 yards and two touchdowns. So it just really depends on, his it's really like a hot and cold type thing. Like sometimes he can be really good, sometimes he can be really bad. Like it's literally what Gabe Davis was. So yeah, George Pickens, he's all right, but I want to expect, like him to be like the best. I could definitely see him being like great though. Now you have Jahan Dotson. He's all right. Like he's a decent like wide receiver one, wide receiver two, maybe. But not anything crazy. I would probably put him on all right though, because I don't think he's that much better than Curtis Samuel or Brandon Cooks. So yeah, he's all right. Now you have Jamar Chase, and I think he's great. I think he's better than everyone in the good tier. Again, if he had Joe Burrow all last year, he would have probably put up better numbers. Um, he still had decent numbers last year, though. He still had 1,200 yards, but with Joe Burrow, again, that chemistry that the wide receiver quarterback duo has, him and Joe Burrow, is honestly unmatched in my opinion. So yeah, he's really solid. Now you have Jameson Williams. I'm gonna put him at like all right again on that Lions team. He's a good wide receiver three. He's an okay wide receiver two, but realistically, he should only be wide receiver three. He's got the speed, but I'm pretty sure he had a drop in that game against the 49ers. Either way, I wouldn't say he's amazing, but again, he still has the talent to be, or in the speed and everything to be like a really good wide receiver three, and honestly, like a decent wide receiver two in the NFL. Now I have Jackson Smith Jigba, and I'm also gonna put him in good again. Did he have the most amazing rookie year ever? No, but I could see him just being like a really good player, in a few years. Again, he's pretty much in like a really good wide receiver room right now. He was pretty much like what wide receiver two, wide receiver three last year. We have DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett. It's tough to be amazing, but that's what he played well last year. And I think in the next few years, he can make that jump. It's really as long as Gino plays well because I don't think Gino's that good. But I mean, if Gino plays well, Jackson Smith, should do really well. So yeah, I'm gonna put him in good for now because he isn't, as good as that great tier, obviously, and definitely not the best. Now you have Jaden Reed, and I'm also gonna put him in like that good tier. Like he played well last year. Honestly, all the Packers wide receivers are pretty good. I would probably lean towards these two more than Christian Watson though. But yeah, these two guys right here will be a good duo, like good wide receiver duo for a while. And honestly, I think they can only go up in success, productions, talent, whatever. They can only get better. So yeah, Dontavian Wicks and Jaden Reed are both really good. Now we have Jaden Waddle, and I'm honestly gonna put him in great. Again, is he the best wide receiver two in the NFL? In my opinion, yes. But honestly, I think he'd be a really good wide receiver one too. So yeah, I gotta put him in great as well. He's just an amazing wide receiver. Now we have Jordan Addison, and I'm honestly gonna put him in great as well. He had great numbers last year. For a rookie, like easily had amazing numbers. He had less yards than Justin Jefferson, obviously, but he still had 911 yards last year, which is crazy for a rookie wide receiver. Obviously, Puka Nacua had 1,400, but still, I thought he had a great season, and in my opinion, he is as good as most of these guys. Probably the worst actually. Actually, I'm gonna take it back what I just said there. He's one of the better good wide receivers too. I meant to put him in good by the way. He's a great wide receiver too, but he isn't as good as those guys on the first tier. In my opinion, he was the second best rookie wide receiver last year. Sorry, I had to backtrack there. I said it wrong, but yeah. Jordan Addison still pretty good. Again, I accidentally put him in great, so he could get there along with Justin Jefferson. Like if he can keep developing, he can easily get into Jalen Waddle tier. Now you have Justin Jefferson. This is the easiest, the best ever. If he didn't get hurt, honestly, if he didn't get hurt last year, he probably would have reached 2,000 with Kirk, or even with Nick Mullins. Honestly, most likely with Kirk though. But in my opinion, if Kirk didn't get hurt, he would have been an MVP candidate. Him and Justin Jefferson would have had probably 2,000 yards just from like. Yeah, either way, what I'm trying to say is Justin Jefferson would have had an amazing season. He still played all those games, but he still had 11. He still had 1,000 yards despite only playing 10 games. So yeah, amazing. I have Keenan Allen, and that's gonna be tough, but I'm gonna say he's good. Is he amazing? Was he amazing in his prime? Yes, but I wouldn't put him anything higher than good. He's hurt sometimes and he's getting on the older side. Is he like a good wide receiver too? Yeah, like on the Bears he will do pretty well. Would I say, he is on the same level as he's gonna appear? No way. I have Marquise Brown, Hollywood Brown. I think he's all right. Again, a lot of people want to hype him up since he's on the Chiefs, but he's decent. He's not anything crazy. Um, but overall, I would say he's still all right. He's a good wide receiver 3 target. I wouldn't put him as your number 1 though, definitely not. But overall, I'd say he's decent. And Michael Pittman Jr. In my opinion, he is like I wouldn't. It kind of feels weird putting him in gray, but I think I have to because he's a great wide receiver 1. Like he got that contract for a reason, and I actually think he's better than most guys on that good tier. So yeah, I got to put him in gray. Again, it's kind of tough because you know on the wide receiver 1 in the Colts there's not much competition, but at the same time he's still super talented and he's still, in my opinion, really good. He had 1,152 yards last year. So yeah, I think overall it's just a really solid wide receiver. I would say. I have Mike Evans, and I would also put him in great. You could have put him in the best, technically, but I mean, as just like a wide receiver with like 1, he isn't as good as the guys at the top. Even though, in my opinion, he is like the highest Hall of Famer guy right now. That's a wide receiver, in my opinion. Like Mike Evans is undoubtedly going to make the Hall of Fame. Um, Again, overall, Mike Evans, good player. He's like probably the most consistent player of all time, you could say. So yeah, Mike Evans, he's a great wide receiver 1. He's definitely better than those guys on the good tier. Now I have Mike Williams, and I don't want to put him in all right because that's kind of disrespectful. But I'm gonna put him in good. Nothing too crazy, you know what I mean? Like he's don't get me wrong. Like he was good when he was healthy, but he just isn't healthy that much. So it's tough to kind of rate a guy like that. On terms of like a tier list, but like if he's healthy, he's like one of the better wide receiver 2s in the league. So I'm gonna put him in good. Um, Now we have Nico Collins, and sorry, I actually did that. Now we have Nico Collins, and overall, I would probably put him in good again. Him and Tank Dell, they're gonna be a great duo. He's one of the better wide receiver 2s in the league. Well, I would say he's on the same level as pretty much everyone in this good section, I would say. Again, he is probably like top 5 wide receiver 2, so he's probably better than like Dontavian Wicks, Jackson Najigba, probably Mike Williams and Jane Reed too, but still. Either way, he's just a good wide receiver. I have Puka Nakua, and in my opinion, he's already great. Like him and Cooper Cup might be the best wide receiver duo in the NFL. Um, Probably maybe it's Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill, but really, no matter what, I think that duo, even if it's only gonna last like 2 more years, will put up consistently good numbers. And obviously, Puka Nakua just had the best rookie wide receiver year pretty much ever. But now I have Rashee Rice. I'm gonna say he's good. Obviously, he's done a lot of stuff in the offseason that, we shouldn't really, I guess, probably shouldn't go, I guess, talk about. But I can't deny that he's been pretty good on the field, I would say. In the playoffs, he was good. In the regular season, I would say the back end of the regular season, he was also pretty good. But yeah, nothing crazy. He's not like a great wide receiver 1, but he's good. I have Stephon Diggs, and I don't think he's great, but you got to admit that he was a great wide receiver 1 last year based on his stats. But if you actually watch the games, like it was kind of a downhill spiral after like the bye week. I would say probably like maybe a few weeks after the bye week. But either way, actually, yeah, I'd say probably like the Broncos game was his last like decent game. Either way, he put up good numbers. Do I expect him to put up 1,100 yards next year? No, I think Nico Collins and Tank Dell are better than him right now. But yeah, overall, he's not bad, honestly. Speaking of Tank Dell is right now, and we're also gonna put him in great. In my opinion, he would have put up amazing numbers last year if he didn't get hurt. And again, getting hurt kind of just like stops momentum. People forgetting how good Tank Dell was. Like he was playing, in my opinion, as good as Puka Nakua, and he got injured, and then it was just the Puka Nakua hype train. So overall, He's a good wide receiver, but he's a great, honestly, wide receiver one, great wide receiver two. I think he's honestly kind of like, well, what could you say? I don't really know how to explain it, but he can honestly play wide receiver one and wide receiver two. He's kind of like a hybrid. Like I think he could play in the slot at wide receiver two, at wide receiver one, because he's just that good and he's super fast too. And I have T Higgins, and he is like top two wide receiver twos. I wouldn't say he's as good as Jalen Waddle though. I don't think he's great, but he would be like a wide receiver one on some teams that are kind of wide receiver. Don't really have wide receivers right now, the Bills. Keon Coleman will be good, but all I'm saying is, he would be like a wide receiver one on like 10 teams, I would say, in the NFL. So that definitely deserves something good. I wouldn't say he's great though. I have Terry McLaurin. I want to put him in good. I think he's underrated, but I feel like people say he's underrated too much. Like, yeah, he's good, but people kind of say he's like underrated a lot. So it's kind of like he's a little bit overrated. He had like 1,000 yards last year. So yeah, he's good, but I wouldn't say he's amazing either. Like he's good, but he isn't like amazing either. I have Tyler Lockett, and he's also good. He's always been just kind of consistently good. Again, nothing crazy, but he'll get you like 900 yards, 800 yards, and a few touchdowns each year. And I have Tyreek Hill, and he's like the fastest man in the NFL. Probably the second best wide receiver, I would say. Yeah, easily second best wide receiver, actually. So yeah, easily second best wide receiver. Now you have Zay Flowers. I want to put him in good. Again, there's some time for him to develop. What I saw last year, he was good. Again, he can definitely turn into like a better Marquise Brown. Like maybe kind of, I would say honestly, maybe like a Cooper Cup type of guy. Again, he's not like the biggest guy in the world. Obviously, he's not like a DK Metcalf or a AJ Brown, but I think he'd be a good target for Lamar for years to come. So yeah, I would just have to put him in good for now, but I can honestly see him developing into being like this tier right here, the great tier. But yeah, that is it for this video. Again, maybe DJ Moore could be ranked higher, but overall, I would say really the Bears wide receiving room is like the best wide receiving room. Again, most of the room is in, the good, except for Rome Odunze, who's in the rookie tier right here, down here with Coleman and McConkey, all those guys. But in my opinion, the Bears wide receiving room is the best. I think DJ Moore is like a great wide receiver, but compared to these other guys on the list, I just think he's, good. He's probably the best out of this good tier. But yeah, again, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to hit like, subscribe button, and yeah, I'll see you tomorrow for another Hand Productions video.